Okay, cool. So, welcome, guys. Sorry we're about 8 minutes behind. We just need to get started. We can't wait for everyone. We are recording this session, so we'll be able to download later for others to see. All right, so Python is what we'll be talking about in the next few minutes. Python is a programming language. So, at the end of this training, you're supposed to become a programmer. Okay? There are so many languages. We already talked about that some time ago. You have other languages like Java, like JavaScript, which are two unrelated languages. We have PHP, we have the .NET languages, Visual Basic, C Sharp, and on and on. But you cannot count how many programming languages there are. But there are some languages that are more popular than most, and Python is one of those. Python is one of the most popular languages. It was created in 1991, and Python is popular because it's used for a variety of things. You can use it for web development, that is server side. You can't use you cannot use Python for front end development. You can use it for back end. Later on, we'll discuss about front end programming languages and back end programming languages. But basically, Python is server side. When you are designing for a website, use it for the back end for server side programming. You can also use it to develop software for desktop applications. Then it's also used for data analytics, data scraping, and artificial intelligence, big data, and all of that. Now, why do we use Python for all of this stuff? Because of the so many things Python can do. Okay, apart from the fact that you can use to create web applications, you can use Python alongside other software to create workflows. You can create Python to also read and write files. You can also work with database systems. You can handle big data. You can handle complex mathematics, and so many things that you had difficulty using other languages to do. Python, you can use it to do that. And Python can also work on any platform. Python is native to Linux. Once you install Linux operating system, for instance, on your computer, automatically Python comes with Linux. Okay, so you don't need to install Python once you have a Linux operating system. Apart from that, Python works on Windows, works on Mac OS, Raspberry Pi, and so on and so forth. And Python is very, very simple. The syntax of Python is silly simple. Hence, you don't need to bug your brain about trying to remember Python codes and all of that. You can write code with fewer lines. What you use so many lines of code to achieve in some other languages, with Python, with just a few lines of code, you can achieve that. Now, Python also, Python is an interpreter language, meaning that immediately you run your code with Python, your code starts executing. You don't need to compile. Okay, so you can easily test your code, unlike programming languages like C++ or like Java, which you need to compile and create a exec file. You don't need to do that with Python. And Python is an object-oriented language. Okay, it's an object-oriented language. We'll talk about objects or what an object-oriented language is. As time goes on, as we talk about Python and what Python, we'll be looking at the theory behind Python. But I can explain, we don't have long time to talk about all these things. We have short time, so we need to do a lot of stuff. But I just want to mention some things. As we are working with Python, we'll be mentioning these things and learning them. I don't want to go into so much theories at the beginning of the day. Okay. Now, Python, you have Python 2, okay? Python 2, but the most recent version of Python is Python 3, okay? And Python 3 is being updated right now. It's being worked on right now. But Python 3 is very popular, okay? And Python is free. You can download Python for free, very easy. And also, you can use different languages to write Python. Okay, we can use NetBeans, we can use Eclipse, we can use PyCharm. I'm going to recommend PyCharm. For this class, we're talking about how to install PyCharm. I'll be doing that soon. Okay, now Python is also, when you compare Python with other languages, there's so many reasons why many people prefer Python. You may have your own reasons, for preparing Python. I'm not going to talk about different ways to prepare Python. I think being most of us maybe are beginners, I don't want us to get biased about which language is better than which language. Just know why you're learning Python and just, work with that. Okay, so let me quickly, can I make myself to, can I make myself to be like Spotlight? Who has Spotlight? Yes, I got Spotlight. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So I hope you guys were hearing me all this while. I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Okay, I think you guys were hearing me all this while.
I want to buy something.
You said?
I want to buy something.
You want to say something? Go on, please. You say you want to say something. Okay. All right. So let us get started. Okay. Let me just I want to share my screen because we need to get started with work with Python. So the first thing is to install what we need to get working with it. Okay. All right. So when in class, I will have given us this file, PyCharm. So we would have to screen sharing. Sorry, let me allow myself to share my screen. Come on. I supposed to share my screen? Come, guys. I want to share my laptop screen. Share screen. Yeah, I got it. Okay, I can share my screen now. Okay. Cool. Okay, so what you guys need to have is PyCharm. Let me try open PyCharm on my system. If you have your laptop with you already, or you are with your system, then I will show you how to get PyCharm. But it's not going to be difficult to get PyCharm. If you are not with your system right now, when you get your system up and running, then you can download PyCharm. Or or you can come to we can meet up either before our class, our physical class, or we can meet up in my office, and I'll give you the installation file for Python. Anyone that works for you. Okay. So let's see. Python. It's going to take a while. I should have opened this earlier so that Don't not have this time to wait. Yes. Okay, so you can use PyCharm, you can use Eclipse. I have Eclipse on my system too. I have PyCharm, but basically I will show you what I use to teach. And you can also use it to learn also. You can also use it to learn. I think while I'm waiting for that, let me just show you guys PyCharm. Okay, so PyCharm is from JetBrains. You can go to www.jetbrains.com, PyCharm download. Just click on that. I'm sure you guys have seen my screen, and there you just have the download button there. I think automatically it will detect the OS on your system. If it's a Windows OS you are having, you can go ahead and download for Mac OS, download for Linux. Okay, in your Windows system. So you can download either the different versions here. Take it to the file. Okay, so you just click on the download. There's a professional version, but I would recommend that you download the free version. Okay, the community version, sorry, because this is built on open source. I hope you guys are seeing my screen. So there are two like that. So the professional one, as you can see, it says for both scientific and web, Python development, it has HTML, JavaScript, SQL support, and all of that. It's not totally free, it's a trial. But the one that is purely for Python development, which what we need for now, is this one. So go ahead and download this free, it's an open source, and so there you go. I don't need to download this. I already have it. So you go ahead and download this and install on your system. Okay. Okay. Then there's also another way to run Python on your system. There's a long version for this and a short version for this. The short version for this is Google Colabs, which is what I use most times. Let me just say Google Colab. Okay, so you have this colab.research.google.com. Actually, Google was built on Python. Okay, it was built on Python. So, it's just, it makes sense that you can run Python directly on Google. So Google Colab, you have colab.research.google.com. Okay, so you got to create a notebook. So when you create a notebook, for instance, okay, it's easy for me to just, I'll use this to work. Okay, to train, you can also use it to learn, to practice. The only problem with this is that you need to be online. You need to be online to run Python codes here. But if you want, there's the one that you will not need this. You use, you have to download what's called Anaconda. Anaconda, okay? In Anaconda, I don't know how I used to have Anaconda. Let me see if it still works. There's this Jupyter notebooks that comes with Anaconda, and with Jupyter notebooks, you can run Python codes the same way that I would run Python codes in here, any codes in here. Yeah. So this is okay. This is Anaconda. Let me try and see if I have. The Jupyter is a Gupyter notebook. So if you get to run Jupyter Notebook here, so I closed it out.
Yes.
Then you will be able to run.
Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow.
It takes a while, but I don't use this basically because I just like the straightforward Google Colab. I create my notebook, I can save my notebook. The offline version, which is the digital notebook, it takes a while to run and all of that. But I would suggest for you guys to use PyCharm. Okay, I wouldn't know why my PyCharm is not coming up right now.
Yeah.
I want you guys to see how PyCharm looks like.
Yes, now.
Please, can whoever is talking mute himself, please?
Yes, now. Look at what the statement on your Tavena.
Oh.
The
Can
other
we mute
auditor
ourselves, please?
that just want to leave it like that. What are you living like that? Say it.
Is it that we
What are you?
only okay. Is let's mute ourselves when talking. Okay, good. So please, let's install PyCharm. I don't know, my system it will get around to it. I don't know, sooner or later. But I just want to get straight up into what we're supposed to be doing. Python. If you can download and install Python, fine. You can download and install PyCharm, fine. Now, let me explain something. PyCharm is not Python, okay? PyCharm is not Python. And also, you can have various incarnations of Python on your system, okay? So like in my system, if I want to find out, okay, what I have as Python, for example, I have this Python 3.6 app, for instance, that runs as command line, okay? So I can actually write Python code here. Okay, once Python is installed in your computer, you know, Python is a command line thing. You don't really need an integrated development environment to work with Python, okay? But why we need stuff like PyCharm, stuff like other NetBeans and other integrated development environments is maybe you need to import, okay, some other dependencies. You need to make use of some other plugins. Some plugins you may need for data visualizations, for instance. You need to be able to do something like web scraping, or you need to do serious scientific or mathematical computations. Then you may need to import additional stuff to be able to do that. Okay, so for you to be able to do these imports, you need to use something like PyCharm. Okay, I think PyCharm has opened up here now. That took you a while. Okay, so this is PyCharm. All right, so let me just create a new project. And that is the cool thing about PyCharm. With PyCharm, you can get to create projects. So let me just say this is Python class 1, for instance. Okay, create it. So it's going to open for me a system of files, okay, a working directory, and I can be able to create files inside this particular directory. And these files may not always be Python files. For instance, I may be building for a website. I may need to create web files to incorporate my Python files in it. Okay, so it makes it an integrated development environment because not only Python gets to run here, other stuff gets to run here. I can incorporate other things, I can import other things in here. So that's why we call it an integrated development environment, because we get to make use of it to do different lot of things with Python. But if I say I want to use this one, it means I'm just going to write in Python code on this line. For instance, if I run print hello world, okay, it just does that. Okay, but and you also take note that I have to type like, type every single character that I'm typing. You get to see what I'm typing there. But however, if I were to use PyCharm, okay, let's close this one here. I'm to use PyCharm, for instance. Let me say I'm going to create a new file. Create a new file. Okay, inside the vend environment. Okay, this is library root. Okay, I create a new Python file. I hope you guys are seeing what I'm doing. Let me just go right again. You see, there are two folders here. This is like a folder directory structure. This is PyCharm, and this is how most IDEs should look like, especially when you're working with Python. Basically, you create the Python file in a virtual environment. You create the Python file in a virtual environment. So yes, we have the Python class 1 project folder here. Then we have the vend library root, vend standing for virtual environment. Okay, so in there you right click and you go to new, and then we get the Python file. Now take note that we can also create HTML file. So this is for those who may be using this to create a website with Flask. Okay, I don't know if we can get to that discussion, but when I just create Python file, let us say this is class 1. Now, class 1.py. The Python extension is .py. Okay, so I say class 1.py, and it opens up for me. Okay, I don't know if I can move this out of the way. Yeah. Okay. Now it's going to generate a lot of stuff for me. Okay. Should have done that by now. Okay. Class 1.py. Let's see. Let's print. Okay. All right. Same print hello world we did the other day. Just now. Now I get to these guys. Okay. Print hello world. Class 1.py. Come over here. Right click. Now run class 1. There you go. You see it run here. Hello world. I don't know if we captured this process I just went through. I'll just try and go over it again. I just trying to use simple code for us to understand what's going on. The first thing first, I right click here. Sorry, not here. The virtual environment folder. Okay, not here, please. You don't want to make that mistake. So in the virtual environment folder, right click there. Then we created a new Python file. Okay, and then we named it with the .py extension, which is this file here. Fine. Then I just wrote just one line of code, print hello world in parentheses in quotes. We'll talk about this later. And I came back here to class 1.py. After saving that, I came here, right click, and you see this run class 1. So the run class 1 is going to execute the codes that I have here. So to execute it, and that's why you see hello world. I simply created a function. This is a function, print statement. Functions have parentheses around them. So this function is to print this string here, which is hello world. Okay, so that is that. Okay. Finally, let's see hello world in here. Okay, there we go. Print. Okay, we have this works. Hello world. Okay, now this time I'm going to use this button to run. When I click that, it's going to take a while. Then it's going to execute this guy and give me an output right here. Now this it takes a while because it's online. Needs to, unlike that's why I won't, I prefer you not to use this. I use this for teaching. I will explain why I will explain why right now. But we get the same output, hello world. Okay. So these are some various ways of running Python. Okay. I've showed you guys running Python directly in command line interface, which is what you have here. Okay, just run Python 3, and here you go, execute your code here. If you have a Python file which you have created, you can simply call it here, okay, with Python, then the file name, okay, but you should be in the folder first before you can run it. And then we have PyCharm. I showed you guys how to run the same hello world in PyCharm. Create a project, how to create a file with a .py extension, and you print hello world with this statement here. And finally, I showed you guys how to run Python with online with Google Colab. Just say Google Colab, and we see colab.research.google.com, something about that. Colab.research.google.com. And then just a new notebook, and then this comes up. Now, the reason why I like this is because I can create multiple codes here. So, for example, if I were to move on to what I'm talking about, what I'll talk about next, which would be how Python syntax works. Okay, I'm going to use this to explain it. How Python syntax works. Okay, now Python uses indentation. Okay, Python uses indentation. All right. So now, for example, we created this statement, say print hello world. Now, you see, if I'm going to run something and I want to put it in a block of code, I'm going to use indentation. Okay, I'm going to use indentation. So let me give you an example. Now, see what I'm going to do here, which is why I love this. I'm going to click on code here. It's going to add another block for me to write code on. I can create what's called variables. We discuss variables later. I can say it equals to, sorry, let me just run an if statement. I don't get us confused. Let me say if